Welcome to the Epic Podcast, your elopement photographer inspiration compass. I'm your host, Sheryl Anne, elopement photographer, former Navy officer, and proud mama. This is where adventure and destination elopement photographers come to get inspired, connect, and keep learning. If you're ready to reach new heights and find your true north, you're in the right place. Stay epic. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Epic Podcast. I'm your host, Sheryl Anne. Today we have a really exciting episode because we have not just one, but we have two guests with us today. We are sitting down with the Chaffins, Sammie and Micah. They are a husband-wife duo that focus primarily in the elopement and micro wedding space. They photograph love stories all over the world, bringing such unique blend of artistry and intention to everything they do. Their work has been featured in amazing places like Elle and The Business Finder. They've partnered with amazing brands like Samsung, and they've received recognition from Junebug Weddings multiple times and the International Wedding Photographer Award. I'm just so excited to finally meet them and hear their story and their perspective and share their wisdom with all of you guys. So Sammie and Micah, welcome to the show.
Yay!
Hey, thank you so much for having us.
We're stoked.
Thank you guys for being on. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your guys' self. Where are you guys based? How'd you guys get into photography?
Yeah, so we are based in California in the Central Valley, about like 2 hours outside of Yosemite, which is our favorite place. And we both actually started photography when we were, I think, in high school, just as a hobby. And this was before we even met. We just got into, documenting beauty. And then when we met, we both shared a love of photography. And I started out doing weddings in, I think, shot my first one in 2019, just kind of as a side thing. And Micah was such a natural photographer. He joined as my second shooter. And that was just kind of a side hobby business. And then in 2022, we were like, let's turn this into a real thing. And so I left my other jobs. Micah sold his business and we jumped into it full time.
Yeah. And for me, kind of personally with photography, it was like when I was really young, was just like walking around with my parents, point and shoot, just taking pictures of, rain droplets and bugs and just being like, I think I might win an award for this. This is amazing. And then I think for both of us, it really was born a lot too out of we just loved exploring and loved like going on little day trips with our friends to the beach or to the mountains or hiking. I was hiking like almost every week with my friends. And so it was just a blast to take pictures of them and just get creative. And they were, terrible. But sometimes I look back and I'm like, dang, okay, 15-year-old Micah. But then, yeah, that kind of continued forward into
First, it sounds like. And then you brought Micah in?
Yeah. So I started it just kind of as a side business, I think in 2020, 2021-ish. And I brought Micah in as my second shooter because it was just natural. He'd come with me to wedding days. But I was working like 2 nonprofit jobs at the time. Micah was running his own business. And so it was really just a thing on the side. But I really fell in love with it. And then in 2021, I felt like God really put it on my heart to do photography full time. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And Micah was already my second shooter. And so we really talked about, hey, what if instead of this being my business, like the Sammie Chaffin photography, what if we do this together and be, not just partners in life, but also partners in business and make it the Chaffins husband-wife photo team. And we had the husband-wife photo team for our wedding. And that was so special to us. And we're like, let's give that to other couples and have this double date vibe on the wedding day. And so we jumped in together.
And yeah, like she said, I've been self-employed my whole adult life, actually. So I was running a jewelry business at the time, which was fun and I loved for what it is, but also got to be very stressful. And I had kind of developed a lot of bad habits around it. So I was bad habits in terms of mental health stuff. So I was looking to kind of exit at some point, trying to figure out what I might want to do next, and then was able to sell that business and start doing photography. So that worked perfectly.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wait, so were you guys married before you guys started the business, or did you guys start the business after you guys were married to each other?
We were married first. So we got
Okay.
married July 2019. I actually second shot my first wedding like a month before we got married. And so then I think about a year into marriage, I started doing weddings on the side. And then I think we were married for 3 years when we decided to start the Chaffins.
Amazing. Okay, so you started off with weddings, and now you guys are in like the elopement micro wedding niche. What kind of shifted you guys into that niche?
So I'll brag on Sammie because it was very much her vision. She, like we said, I stepped into her already having done a ton of work and a ton of education. And we had a micro wedding elopement ourselves with like 20 guests, national park, ocean cliff, super awesome. We loved it. But when I came into the business, she was like, hey, we're going to like really specialize into elopements. And I was not, even though we'd had an elopement, I still wasn't as familiar with the space. And I was like, girl, are you sure? Like, everybody else is just doing normal weddings. That's, all our friends are getting normal weddings and they're wanting us to shoot them. But she was like, no, we should do it. We should niche down. We should turn away big weddings. And I was like, ooh, okay. But that absolutely benefited us so much because we just were not dividing our attention. We weren't dividing our marketing. We weren't dividing our energy. So all the energy that would have gone into shooting a wedding that we wouldn't have put in our portfolio, that we wouldn't have been progressing our business, we just put that towards niching down into elopement. So I only shot maybe 2 or 3 traditional weddings, I think. 3 or 4.
Something like that.
Yeah. But
yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like what I saw in the industry was there's a typical formula of you put in your time doing big weddings until you're at the level that you can, graduate to doing elopements. And that's kind of what I saw from most of the elopement educators. That was most people's story. And I was kind of like, okay, but what if we don't have to do that? What if we don't have to put 5 years in doing big weddings? Like, we've done some big weddings, but what do we really want to do? Like, we're passionate about adventure elopements. We're passionate about the intimate experience it gives couples. We're passionate about helping our couples plan, not just showing up as a vendor, but being like a deep part of their journey from day one. Yeah. So let's go after that all in from the get-go and be adventure elopement photographers.
I love that you guys chase your passion. First off, very smart businesswoman move on your part, Sammie, on niching down, because that's really important. But I do want to ask in regards to you choosing elopement specifically, because it sounds like you guys are very passionate about it. Was there a specific adventure elopement, where you guys were like, oh, this is what my calling is. This is what I need to do?
I would say the very first one would be our own elopement. I think I had always dreamed since I was young of getting married outdoors, barefoot on an ocean cliff with just a few people. Like, I hadn't really seen it done, but I just knew that's how I want to get married. That's going to be the most special for me. And so being able to live out that dream together, it was just the best day ever. It was so full of peace and joy. And that to us was an experience that we want to be able to give other couples. And a lot of couples don't know that that is an option for their day. And so being able to come alongside and help other couples, I think that really made us passionate, was just our own elopement experience. Yeah. But then, jumping into doing elopements with other couples, I mean, there have been so many that have been like, at the end of it, we're like, okay, this is what we're meant to do. But I think one that really sticks out to me was our first international elopement in the Dolomites. We helped this couple. They had never been out of the country before. We helped them with all of the logistics. We guided them. We, so many things for their day. And at the end of it, I remember just this feeling of, this is what I was meant to do. Like, it was the most rewarding thing, and knowing that we impacted this couple and gave them a day they'll remember forever. And so that's like the feeling I hold on to.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Another one that pops into my head is just a touch before that. The first time we photographed like a true mountain elopement, because our very, very first elopement was in the Redwoods, which was awesome. And then just a few months later, we shot like just a 2-person hiking up a mountain in Washington. And I remember it was just so fun, and the photos were just so beautiful, and it felt so much like I was like 17 again, just on a hike with my friends, taking awesome sunset pictures at the top of a mountain. And that for me was a really big spark. That was all the way back in 2022, I think.
23, yeah.
3, thank you.
Wow.
And yeah, that was just like, oh, this is so fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's so wonderful that you guys had your own elopement or micro-wedding, I should say, because you could relate to your couples and let them know like they are making the right decision and that you can use you guys as a source of inspiration the way that you guys have used yourself as a source of inspiration for niching down. Also, such an awesome flex that you guys, your first international elopement was in the Dolomites.
Dude.
I'm very curious about that, and I would love to ask you guys questions about destination weddings. How did you guys transition into destination weddings? And how did you, I guess, book that first elopement in the Dolomites?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we both came into marriage passionate about photography, but also passionate about travel.
Yeah.
We had both traveled like on our own. We had each done solo trips in Europe before we got married. And so our marriage has been very passionate about travel. And so when we launched our business, again, when we're thinking, hey, what do we really want to do? We want to do adventure elopements, and travel was a big part of that. So from day one, the destination work was always like the goal. And so we really focused our portfolio on destination work. But our first international elopement was actually really cool because there was this couple, they booked us originally for Colorado. And the location that we were trying to get had a crazy intense permit system. Like, never seen anything like that before. We were up like at midnight, all of us on our computers, and it got snapped up. And so that location fell through. So we did a ton of research for them, found the Grand Tetons in Wyoming that fit their vision. So they switched to the Tetons, and that was going to be where they went. But then other factors ended up being that they decided to not do that. And so we're on a call with them, and they're like, man, like our plan A fell through, our plan B fell through. Where should we go? And so we just sat with them and said, okay, if you could get married anywhere, like what would it look like? And they started dreaming, and they kind of offhand mentioned Greece, and they're like, ah, ha, ha. But then they were like, okay, well, maybe Hawaii. And I was like, well, you guys are on the East Coast, so flights to Greece are probably about the same price as flights to Hawaii for you guys. And the accommodation would be cheaper. So would you maybe want to look into that? And they were like, wait a minute. So that opened their mind to Europe. And then I started sending them things. And then we landed on the Dolomites. And we had done a ton of research in the Dolomites because it was our dream location. So I immediately was sending her, hey, there's this private rowboat ride you can take in Lago de Braze. John, the groom, grew up riding boats, and that was like a passion of his. So we're like, this would be so perfect for John. You can be, hiking in the mountains and all of this. And we just kind of guided them along the vision, and they had never been out of the country before, but they were like, let's do it. And so we ended up going to the Dolomites with them, and it was so special because it was the plan C, and the plan C ended up being so much better than what they could have dreamed of. And yeah, it was an amazing time.
And to speak on, like, again, one, just brag on Sammie, because I would not have probably, at least at that point, now I've learned, but at that point, I would not have jumped in and been like, hey, do you guys maybe want to switch to an international? I was more like, oh, let's just, play it safe. But also to speak on just the benefit for the couple that, to sit in the talking to elopement photographer's seat, like when you show a couple what is possible, just to open their mind to the possibility, you might be connecting them with their ideal like experience and something that they would have never done on their own. Like, do not think this couple would have ever gotten married in the Dolomites, and they loved it so much. And on top of that, they were like, okay, we're going to like out of the country, going to Europe for the first time, because they were having their parents and their son were going to be with them. So they were like, we're in Italy, we're doing a family trip. So leading up to their elopement, they had been like traveling around Italy as a family for like over a week. And so they came into it and they were telling us all these awesome, they were in Venice doing this, and they had all these stories. It was just so cool because, again, it was like they would probably not have done that if Sammie hadn't just been like, hey, what does it look like? And then also using that travel expertise of breaking down some common misconceptions of a lot of people think Europe is expensive. 9 times out of 10, a lot of the locations are actually less expensive accommodation wise than East Coast big cities, West Coast big, or just anywhere in California. Literally, we live in Fresno and we go to Italy and we're like, or Paris, and we're like, it's cheaper here. It like a Motel 6 in Fresno costs what this like beautiful place in Europe does. So anyway, but yeah, I just think that's a really important thing that I learned early on from Sammie and from our experience was that like just pitching couples on what is possible. And that was a big example, right? But that also can just look like more hours, more activities, a different location that's a little farther or whatever it is. And of course, not every couple is going to go for that. A lot of couples are just going to be like, nope, this is our thing.
Yep.
But always just opening their mind to that possibility, I think is really good. Yeah.
Well, what stood out to me about your guys' story, and I think this will help a lot of elopement photographers that are starting out that want to go dive into the destination photography side, is that you guys didn't shoot in Dolomites before. You guys didn't have a portfolio with another couple, but they still had that inherent trust in you guys to capture. Do you guys have any advice for other photographers, like how you guys were able to achieve that? Did you guys have like a big enough portfolio perhaps that they were like, oh, we can picture ourselves anywhere and they would do such an amazing job? Or was it maybe the planning process? What do you guys think?
Good question.
Yeah. So I would say a lot of the trust in our ability to do international work did come from we had a extensive travel portfolio ourselves. So not with weddings, but with travel. So we were able to, on our website at the time, we shared, we have experience traveling in 20 plus countries. So we'll be able to help walk you through the process. We had photos of ourselves in Ireland and Paris and Italy. And so like those photos on our website and that, in our copy speaking to the destinations where like, hey, you see our work in these mountains in Washington or in California. And then you also see our own travel experience. So really just being able to marry those two together. But then as soon as we were able to, we got international content and then being able to have, once we had international content, then I feel like that was, couples see that and they're like, okay, you can shoot our wedding in Italy because you've got this other wedding in Italy. But I think the biggest thing, if you are a photographer wanting to get into destination work, travel yourself. Like go to these places, set up creative shoots so that you can get the experience, figuring out the locations, if you need any permits, shooting in those places, and then you have the content for it. But then also just travel yourself and get that experience, get photos of you in beautiful places, and make sure you enjoy traveling before you become a destination photographer, because it is not necessarily as glamorous as it looks from the outside, and you have to really love the process of traveling. And if you don't, then local weddings are amazing. Find your place that you love, but if you love the travel yourself, then go for it. But make sure you love the travel part, because it's very different when you're lugging around a ton of gear and you're planning all this stuff, but it's so rewarding when you love traveling, get to help other couples travel for their day.
Yeah. Okay, so we've opened the Pandora's box now on destination elopements and weddings. So we'll just keep going. I love what Sammie said there, because in terms of like, make sure you actually really love the travel, because what you'll find is it's not normally much more money when you factor in for your time, you're out of office, all of the planning that you have to do for the travel. So you're spending, or you're making the same amount of money for sometimes more work when you're doing destination than if you were just shooting, 2 hours away. And traveling for work, this is something that I always, whenever I heard people were like, oh, I'm traveling for work, I'm doing this, I was like, that's so sick. I love travel. I wish I could travel. I want to travel for work. And it is awesome if you love travel, but it's so important to know that it is not the same as vacation. It is so different than being on vacation, because the whole point of vacation is you have no responsibility. You're not thinking about anything. But when you're traveling for a destination elopement, you get to that location a couple days early and you absolutely can enjoy it. But at least if you're like me or like us, you're going to be sitting there looking out thinking, okay, so if the lighting is like this and maybe I shoot over there and maybe and even afterwards, you're doing your sneak peeks right away. And then you're kind of on the come down from, okay, I was just working here. So it's just, yeah, it's really important to know that it's not vacation. And then, yeah, there's nothing wrong. You can love travel and not do destination work. Like, you can just be like, you know, I'm just going to keep international travel just for personal stuff and just shoot locally to fund my international travel. But if you do want to get into destination work, it is awesome and it is really fun. And it is definitely exhilarating. Like, shooting in another country, it is definitely very, very hype to be there and to be like, holy crap, people paid our way here and they valued our work enough. At the end of it, they were happy with their experience. So that is very cool. And then also have to obligatory, because we are, and I'm sure listeners of the Epic podcast, we want to hold ourselves to a high standard as professionals. So please work legally in these countries. Please contact, it's annoying to contact the embassy, I know, but contact the embassy. Make sure that you don't need, a work visa. If you do, get a work visa, because there is some people out there who are like, just take your cameras. Nobody's going to worry about it. But please don't do that. Please work in other countries. Just like we, leave no trace, get permits in the US. We want to do the same kind of thing working overseas.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you guys mentioned the reality of what we do behind the scenes, especially with traveling as destination elopement photographers. I remember this one podcast I listened to where there was a destination elopement photographer, and she's super famous. And she says she starts complaining about how much she has to travel. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, she's traveling, like everyone wishes to be in her position. But coming from both of us who are now in her position, in some ways I'm so obviously so grateful to be where we are at. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, she wasn't kidding. Like, this is a lot of hard work. Like, you're away from your family a lot. And I think the biggest reality check that I've had is ever since having my daughter, Theo, is like,
worse.
Oh my gosh, I'm away from her a lot. Like, do I want to continue doing this? Or how do I balance this where I can still continue doing what I love and go to these epic locations, but still have time with her growing up,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, but I'm glad you guys talked about the reality of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so good for photographers to know who are considering destination work to really go in with eyes open and go, okay, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. Like, it is a lot of extra work, a lot of extra time. It's going to be more complex, but is it worth it for me? And for us, the answer is yes. But for some, they might really weigh that and go, you know what? I think I want to do more local weddings and then travel on vacation. And for photographers to know that that's an amazing choice too. Like, it's not, destination work is the ultimate place to reach. Like, building a balanced life is the ultimate place to reach, whatever that looks like for you.
Of course.
But it's important to know it is a lot of extra work and time. And so if that's what you love, like we do, then go for it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And looking back, would you guys do anything differently? Or let's say someone doesn't have, I guess, the money to travel and kind of like build that content on their own. Do you have any other advice for them in order to build their portfolio?
Yeah. I'll at least just say, in terms of building a portfolio and traveling, tips on kind of how to do it inexpensively would be, like Sammie said, one, you don't necessarily need to go international to at least just add variety. So let's say you're in California, go get the redwoods and go get the beach and go get the mountains. Boom, right there. But then if you're, maybe you live in Iowa or Ohio or something, then just one, there's a website called going.com, which Sammie loves, which is basically like last minute flight deals. So it'll send you alerts for like, hey, there's like, flights to maybe flights out to California or flights international for like way cheaper than they normally are, but you gotta book it like in the next couple days, and then you fly out in like 2 months or something. So that's a great way to travel a little more inexpensively. And then if you're down for it and you can, you're comfortable with it, stay in a hostel. Nobody has to know that for that awesome epic styled shoot, you were staying in a bunk with, 10 other people. Like, who cares? And you can stay somewhere for like 40, $50 a night. So that's at least a way to make it a little more affordable. And then there's ways, finding models that you don't have to pay, whether that's just posting in Facebook groups are tough. We found like direct outreach can be really helpful, but Facebook groups also, we've found some models that way as well. And a lot of times if you're doing a good job, you're communicating yourself well, then the couple's going to be stoked to get these professional grade photos for free. Make sure you have a model contract. That's very important, just so that everybody's bases are totally covered. It's also very helpful for getting that couple to make sure they don't ghost you, and make sure you don't fly out to another country and then they're like, oh, sorry, didn't end up working out 2 days before. And then all of a sudden you're running around trying to find people. But
yeah,
you got anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for building portfolio, like if you're not in an epic place, just getting creative with the nature that you do have around you, getting unique shots, having friends and family model for you, or posting in, local Facebook groups and really building that portfolio. And then, if you're able to go somewhere, even just, maybe you have a local lake or some cool trees, like go there, get out of your comfort zone. And then if you're able to take day trips to cool spots, but then if you're able to go to a really cool spot, set up a bunch of creative shoots. Local hiking groups in that place is a great places to like post on Facebook and be like, hey, you're offering a free shoot. Here's the inspo. You can get like a cheap wedding dress on Amazon for like $100. Bring that along with you. And really, I feel like creative shoots are such a good way to not only build your portfolio, but build your confidence and your eye in shooting in nature. You have kind of this creative freedom. It's not a couple's wedding day that you're tuned into their needs. You're able to step back and go, what do I want this shoot to look like? I'm going to style the couple. I'm going to try these unique prompts and, oh, hey, that didn't work. Okay, but we've got time and space. And then after the shoot, you can really analyze what worked well, what didn't. Look at inspo photos and go, okay, this is what I was looking for. This is what I took. What did I need? Oh, I should have shifted my angle. I should have done this, should have done that. Maybe I need a different lens. And that is really where you grow.
You guys are dropping a lot of knowledge. This is good. I hope everyone's taking notes.
This is every day.
I do want to mention is like, I'm really glad you guys are honest and upfront about it. I think a lot of people don't realize like they don't have to do these like content retreats. I think a lot of people come to me, they're like, Sheryl, these are really expensive. Like I can't afford to do these because they're thousands of dollars. So I totally understand. But what I did in the beginning is I would just like get a flight somewhere random. For example, I went to Hawaii. I just bought a flight and then I reached out to random people in that area and I said, hey, do you guys want to model for me? And like, that's just like a fun way to build your portfolio for almost free. And I think I bought 2 dresses off of Lulu's and it was just like, here, what's your guys' size? Wear this. So it's like really easy to set up their own and like build your portfolio. And I think like, if you're going to do that on your like Instagram or TikTok, like show how much you're traveling, post your story like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii. So it looks like you're doing a lot, You guys had a lot of good advice. You guys dabbled in it a little bit. You guys mentioned that when you get to a new location, you guys look for certain things like light. What is like the first thing you guys look for when you get to a new location to make like the perfect photo? Because you guys have so many perfect photos. So many.
Thank you. Yeah. So with new locations, this is kind of some of where the extra work comes in.
Yeah.
And it's that the extra time that we put into it that maybe the couple doesn't see, but it comes out in their photos, in their experience. So if we're in a new location, like, for example, we shot a wedding in Fiji and it was amazing and beautiful. It was a 2-day wedding. day 1 was on like a private island, and then day 2 we did like a waterfall hike in the jungle. So what we normally do before we're in a brand new location is we do a ton of digital location scouting. So before we're even there, we're on Google Earth Pro. We're looking at, the lighting at the certain time of day, what the shadows are like. We're looking at all trails for, the hikes. We're looking at, if anybody else has photographed there before. We're looking at, we're doing tons of research. And so we're able to get a really good idea.
Google 360 photos are definitely like the GOAT for sure. They're the best. Just like doing like the street view guy and dropping him down.
Google Maps.
Huge. So helpful.
Yeah. So that's kind of before we even get to a place. We have a really good idea and we've done tons of research. But then once we are in the spot, we do a lot of in-person scouting. And some places, there's not a ton of research we can do ahead of time. Like in Fiji, we were on this small island called Tabauni. There was not much info online. And then the day 1 was on this private island we could only access by a boat ride from the private island resort. So we couldn't even scout our day 1 location at all. So that took a lot of extra preparation. But when we are in a location, we will go to like every location we're going to be with the couple and do intense scouting. We'll normally try to go there at the time of day. So if we're at a beach at sunset, we'll go there at sunset. We'll kind of plot out, okay, we'll probably take our couple here first. We'll do these types of poses, then we'll go here, we'll explore around, we'll have our cameras, we're taking pictures of each other, being like, okay, this lens is great because that is going to make the background look great. We'll find unique spots. And a lot of times we'll have like a really clear vision of, okay, we've got a 2-hour portrait time. So we're probably going to spend the first 30 minutes here, then we're going to go here and here. But on the day, the couple doesn't know any of that. Like it feels spontaneous and relaxed. And we'll even be walking and we're like, oh, the couple will probably notice that thing and want to go over there. But then if they don't, we're like, oh, hey, that's pretty over there. And then they're like, and we're like, oh, I want to go explore. And so they're running over there. And it's like, we planned that out. But they are spontaneous on the day. And we know, okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be getting this light. And obviously there's a lot of space for spontaneity. If the couple is like, they go off or they're wanting to do something. But we've really scouted out, okay, this is what the light's doing. This is what gear we want. We're going to want to go here. Then once blue hour hits, we're going to turn around here. We want this as the background. So we do a lot of that. Then for, in the Fiji example, we showed up to the private island and we just planned some time to kind of scout day of. And like while I'm taking detail photos, Micah was finding a spot for the first look and we had no idea what that island was going to look like. And so we've been good at scouting on the fly as well. And all right, just got to choose a location, figure it out. And like it works amazingly. But then, in Fiji, I think we spent maybe 2 full days scouting. We were going around the island. We did the waterfall hike. We had to ask locals, like, where is this boat dock? Because it wasn't on Google Maps.
It also wasn't a boat dock. It's just a strip of land where the boats land, and there's no marking at the turnout. It's very...
That was a very unique one.
Very unique.
Because it was a lot. They were like, we'll meet at this boat dock. And it's like, hey, that's nowhere on Google Maps. So we have to ask island locals, hey, where is this? And so we did a lot of preparation to make sure we're where we need to be. But in more normal places like the Dolomites, then we've done intensive scouting. And then we'll also sometimes, like for the Dolomites, we set up a creative shoot beforehand because we're shooting at Lago de Braise. We have an hour and a half to get these perfect shots. So we set up a shoot. We paid for the permit and shot with a couple, shot with them in the boat on the dock. And then we went through the photos and analyzed, okay, here we got the shot. Here we didn't quite. What was different? And we're like, okay, we needed to be a little more centered, or we should have been lower, and we need this angle. And that came through in the couple's photos so much because we got the shots for them. Whereas it hadn't been there.
Seeing into the masterminds of you two, because this is intense. Like I don't think I do like that much where I'm like photographing everything and then analyzing my photos. Like, oh, what could I do differently?
I love it.
That is crazy, you guys. So you guys, it sounds like you spend like more than 2 days doing all this, or is this all in one day, like location scouting?
I would say the Lago de Braise example where we did a styled shoot beforehand, that was because that was our first international wedding. we were a little more like, okay, we really want to nail this. It was also like, hey, we're in Italy. Let's have 2 Dolomites weddings in our portfolio. But I would say it depends on the length of the day and the amount of locations. Normally, if it's a 2-day, we're probably going to, 6+ different locations. So normally we will need a day and a half to scout those out, especially if we're trying to hit them roughly around the same time we're going to be there on the day, which is super helpful because seeing that, oh, wait, the sun is going to set behind that cliff over there. So we're going to lose golden hour at this time. So we need to be aware of that. We need to get a little earlier. Also, let me just name drop an awesome app called Stellarium. I use it for stargazing, but also for it will show you where the sun is going to set. You can set a different day, so you can go like days in advance. So helpful. But yeah, I would say for a lot of locations, if it's our first time there, we'll do more like a day. But it is definitely, we will, like Sammie said, we'll have our cameras and we'll be pretending like we're doing a shoot and being like, okay, how does that look? Sammie, stand over there. That looks a little odd. Obviously, that's where we benefit from having 2 people. We can kind of model for each other. But even if you don't, just having your camera in your hand and seeing what does this look like, and like, oh, wait, I want to get that mountaintop in this view. But if I'm shooting down at the couple, I'm going to crop it off. So how could I get how can I get lower, but I'm on a hillside? So then you have the opportunity to go, okay, wait, there's a little rock over there. Maybe I can have the couple stand on the rock and that gets me a little bit higher up. So there's the mountain in it. And it's not like we're busting out notes and, writing stuff down necessarily, but it's just getting familiarized with the location as much as possible. And the more that you do that, obviously, the more experience you have, the more that will become intuitive, so that when a time comes where you don't have the opportunity to scout a location beforehand, you just intuitively will have a better kind of second nature. I'm honestly terrible with like intentionally thinking on these kind of things when I'm actually shooting. I'm a full like, my brain turns off and my like creative muscle memory kicks in basically. But that's also kind of just how I am. I don't really think before I speak. I'm just kind of going. I'm just kind of rolling. So I don't think before I shoot necessarily. But I do a lot of. I'm much more of an absorb inspiration kind of person.
Yeah. Well, it's important to have these almost like dress rehearsals the day before. So when you go in, to your couples, you guys seem like really organized, and then that exudes professionalism on your end. And I think a really important thing, when I was in the Navy, we would do like a lot of drills. So then when it comes to an actual emergency, it is so ingrained in you that like when the panic sets in, it's like your body just kind of reacts on instinct. And I think that's the same thing that you guys are trying to do basically the day before an elopement day, is like go and rehearse. So if something does hit the fan on their elopement day, you guys have all these backup plans in place that will naturally kick in. So
absolutely. And that happens. And then we've got those backups in place. And I think especially with working as a team, that's really helpful for providing a really relaxed and stress-free experience for our couples. Because we've been through, we've walked through the day together. We've got such a plan. So then things are happening and we're just kind of, we don't even have to be communicating. We know what we're doing, what the other person is doing. We're working seamlessly as a team because we've, spent the hours kind of plotting it all out. And for the couple, it feels effortless, relaxed, where they're supporting them. We're tuned in to how they're feeling, and their day just feels spontaneous and present. And we're able to be supporting them kind of seamlessly because we've put in that work beforehand.
I love that. So obviously you guys are creative geniuses.
Getting there.
So creative. Do you guys have like a favorite lens or like favorite creative tools that you guys use to make your photos look as incredible as they are? And for the people that are like, oh, Sheryl's just like hyping them up, go to their Instagram right now at the Chaffins, and you won't see that I'm like gassing them up. But seriously, do you guys have what's your favorite lenses, any creative tools that you guys use?
I love it. Well, I'll go first because I have less probably to say because for our whole time, I've just shot with one lens.
Yeah.
I've just used, so we shoot on Sony A7 IVs, mwah, mirrorless, do it. It's beautiful. Sony is amazing, but all the mirrorless are so good. So I've always just shot on, I was shooting on their 24-70, which was great because just tons of versatility. And then they came out last year with the 28-70, but it's a 2.0, which it's just the game changer because I was definitely lacking the depth of field on my shots a lot of the time that you would get with a prime lens. But now that I can do 2.0, dude, but all the way from 28-70, it's amazing. So yeah, that I do like to be I'm kind of moving all around when I'm shooting and I'm zooming in and out and even moving back and forth to get whatever effect kind of that I want. So yeah, I love having that zoom lens and having that versatility is awesome.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely. And then I dual wield on 2 cameras. My favorite lens is the 35 1.4 G Master from Sony. It is just such a gorgeous focal length. I feel like so many of my favorite photos have been taken with that one. But then I'll also have 85 1.4, and then sometimes I'll have a 70-200, especially if like I'm in the mountains trying to bring that compression, make, the background really big. But that 35 is my go-to most of the time. It's just stunning. And then our favorite piece of gear that is really kind of the magic for how we get the really cinematic look is a Pro Mist filter. So that's a filter that goes on your lens and it really creates this beautiful like highlight bloom. It kind of softens out the contrast and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's a filter that's used in a lot of film and cinema and it really makes the photos look so dreamy. And when we added Pro Mist filters to all of our lenses, I feel like our work leveled up like that.
Yeah.
And we like achieved the look we were going for. It felt so much more artistic. And so that is like our favorite.
It's a game changer. I love my black Pro Mist filter, especially when I use them with lanterns. It's like, it just makes it look so incredible. But I do have to be mindful because I kind of tend to overuse it and I use it in like really bright settings on accident sometimes. I'm like, now you can barely see their face. They're too bloomed out.
I think we've got a really light one on like all of our lenses. And then I think we've got a heavier one on my 35. So then we've got kind of a variety. And so most of it is just like a really light touch, but then some are heavier. So it's a nice balance.
Yeah.
Got it. So you guys mentioned all these different focal lengths and I'm trying to imagine how you guys are using them. So are you having like Micah like run off and like take a distance photo while you're up close to the couple, or are you guys constantly like together taking photos? Like how's your dynamic work?
Yeah, so
good question.
Normally, when we approach storytelling, we'll try to start with wide shots to kind of tell the story, then go into more kind of full body, and then go in up close. And so we've just got that formula where we'll typically, if we give a prompt, we'll both pull back and be getting wide shots. So Micah with his 28, me with my 35, then I'll be, zooming in. And then we just work around each other a lot and we'll just be kind of like, okay, hey, let's pull back or we'll kind of making eye contact. But then Micah shoots with that zoom lens, like that's what's on his camera. I normally have the 35 on one constantly. And then I'll either have the 85 or the 70-200 on my other one. And I'll just switch lenses depending on, if we're like in a forest setting, I'm like, I want the 85 because I want more of that 1.4. If we're in the mountains and I'm trying to, pull the mountains in, I might do 70-200, or during a ceremony when I want that versatility, really zoom into their bows or to the tears. And then we've also got like a 20 lens. So I'll only pull that out if like we're on a boat ride or I'm in the back of a car with a couple. It's like convertible and I need to be like as far back as I can. But most of the time, I'd say I'm 35 and 85 primarily.
You guys have 2 cameras each. And you guys are both shooting.
I have 2 and
I just do one. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, dang, that must be overwhelming in the culling process.
Yes. Well, that's a perfect like transition into, that was something that for a long time, especially at the beginning when it was like, okay, we're, as every young photographer does, you're kind of just panic shooting the whole time and you come away with like 40 million photos. So when we were both doing that, that was like, whoa, this is a lot of photos. But now we're much more, when we're both doing photography, we've struck a much better balance of a lot of the times I'll be doing motion blur, or I'll be looking for a much more unique angle. So I'll be squatting down, or I'll be running around, or using foreground. And Sammie is just kind of nailing all of the really solid type of stuff. And then also we kind of will be switching off with prompting so that one of us can be shooting, and we're definitely not both constantly shooting. A lot of the times it's like Sammie's shooting, 75% of the day. I'm shooting like 40% of the time, but then the other percent of the time I'm scouting around for our next spot, or I'm like thinking of a prompt that would be good for the couple, or I'm referencing back on our prompt list or whatever. But then now what we've been able to transition into, which is little exciting Epic Podcast exclusive, because we haven't we haven't put this, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, we haven't put it on our public pricing page yet, but we're actually doing photo and video now.
That's what I was gonna ask you guys. I was like, are you gonna do a video?
Let's go. Yeah, dude, you beat us to it.
Woo!
Yeah, so that's been great because now we're at the level where Sammie can, we can comfortably have Sammie do all the photo coverage. And for a while there, that had been brought up, in our discussion a couple of times, because you see that's a pretty common thing for, a husband and wife team, like doing photo and video. I was like, I really like being a photographer. I don't know. But I've fallen in love so much with video because I love videography. It was also just daunting. But then I was like, wait a minute. I think a lot of these skills that I have already are going to transfer over.
Yes.
And they totally did.
He's a really good videographer.
Yay, Micah. Wait, hold on. So Micah, are you the one strictly doing videography? Sammie, you're not going to dabble in it at all?
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, yeah. Like when we'll do getting ready, if I'm with the girl and he's with the guy, I'll take a few little videos so that he doesn't have to, come in, and he'll take, the photos of the guys getting ready. But other than that, like separate time, he's doing all the video. I'm just fully focused on photos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's been awesome. And I'm still able to, it's a little much. I probably don't even need to, but sometimes I just can't resist switching into photo and taking some pictures still.
Yep.
But that's been really awesome being able now to offer that, obviously, to our couples. That's a phenomenal upsell. Yep. And it's also great because we're able to give them, because we're a team, the style is perfectly cohesive. Yep. The color correction, the editing, all of it, the cinematic feel, we really carry over what we think our photos feel like into what our wedding films feel like. And it's also great because there's not a third vendor or even a fourth vendor or whatever tagging along. It's still the double date vibes, just the two of us. But that's been great. And that definitely has changed the way we shoot. It's given me more to do, which is fun. And it's also great because that's changed a little bit of what type of photos we'll get, because a lot of, obviously, when I'm prompting for video, it's much more movement based, and we already loved movement based. But now it's like, if I'm only filming clips of the couple standing still, that's going to be a pretty boring, undynamic wedding film. So it's a lot of having the couple move around and capturing their movement and action and stuff. So that's really cool too, because that gives us the opportunity to capture that in photos as well. But so that's that kind of the shooting style question branched off into, it was transitioning a lot last year because we were kind of developing the video process all through 2025, shot the first one, which just a thing for any couple or for any photographer who's thinking about doing that. We just approached one of our existing couples who we thought would be a good fit. And we were like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're transitioning. Would you guys be interested in a free wedding film so that way we have something in our portfolio for us? And of course they were like, heck yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. So then that was great because that gave us the opportunity. We're still, we're not giving away all of our services for free, but we were able to get a high quality wedding film in our repertoire, in our portfolio right away. So yeah, that's been really fun, and that's been awesome to do for our couples on the day as well.
Yeah, and we're so excited about it because we worked on it all last year to really try to bring the video to the quality of our photos. And now that we've started offering it, oh my gosh, I am just so excited every time. And like, we got a video for our elopement and I cry like every time I watch our video, hearing our voices saying our vows to each other. And so being able to provide that for our couples is just a next level. And when we're going through their videos, like when we're about to deliver, I cry every time I watch our couples videos too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because it just captures the spirit of the day in a totally unique way. And so, yeah, being able to provide that in addition to photos is just so amazing and so rewarding. And we've been absolutely loving it, but we haven't publicly launched it yet. So this is, I guess, our first little public launch of it.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, congratulations. That is honestly so huge. I cannot imagine the amount of people that you guys have, like, the amount of couples that probably asked you guys, like, hey, do you do both video and photo? And now that you guys offer both, like, that is such an upsell for you guys. I'm so excited. And it's awesome that you guys both have A7 IVs because that is like the best hybrid camera out there right now.
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And then the editing is just consistent across everything, the photo and the video, and it's fantastic.
Awesome. And like the fact that you guys reached out to a couple and asked them for like a free video. First, who's going to say no to a free cinematic video? But two, it's like there's no pressure for you guys. You know, you could have totally messed it up, Micah, but it's like, oh, well, at least they tried it, you know?
It was a great low pressure way to do our first video. Make sure, okay, do the mics work? We've got everything figured out. And then being able to watch it back and go, okay, cool. We like how this turned out. We would have done this differently. And that was great. And then we got to bless them with a free video. And it's, so awesome.
Oh, well, perfect. Thank you guys for sharing that exclusive on the episode. Quick pause for my destination and adventure elopement photographers. This one is important, you guys. For almost 2 years, I used a basic wedding or couple session contract, and it didn't even come close to covering the realities of what we do on elopement days. Before going full-time, I invested in the adventure elopement and destination elopement contracts from the legal page, and I didn't realize how much my contracts were missing. If your work includes travel days, adventurous activities, permits, unpredictable weather, or international elopements, you need a contract designed for that level of complexity. Whether I am photographing in the Redwoods, Mount Rainier, Yosemite, or traveling internationally to Italy, Switzerland, or Thailand, I know I'm protected, and so are my couples. If you're ready to upgrade your contracts, use code Sheryl10 for 10% off any contract from the legal page. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, so we've dabbled in your guys' kind of dynamic working together. Let's just like dive into it a little bit more. How's it like doing business together as like a husband-wife duo?
Yeah.
Yes, it is the best, honestly. Like, it's so amazing. Every day I am just in awe at like the blessing that it is to get to work together, to be, together all the time, building not just a life, but a business together. Obviously, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like, there's definitely struggles. There's things like with work-life boundaries, trying to make sure, hey, we need to make sure we're not talking about work constantly and set some boundaries so that we're not burning out, or, hey, we can have a date night and not be talking about the business. And so, and then, obviously there's a lot, with when the two of you are working together, especially with having a business, like the sole financial pressure is all on your business. It's not like you have a spouse who has another job, it's all on us. So it's definitely, there's unique pressures, but honestly, I absolutely love it. Micah is the best business partner ever. And it's been just so cool to work together and you're like, yep. It's so fun. And I feel like we've, in our marriage, have really worked through like building the conflict resolution skills and communication. And then that comes out in our business so well. When if we're working through something or we're having a conflict come up, we're able to work through it together, figure it out together. And I feel like that just makes our business that much better when it's not just one of us calling all the shots, but we're really sharpening each other and going, hey, what about this? What about this? So I love it so much.
Yeah.
So when it comes to shooting, you guys have both. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good.
You're obviously going to take the videography side and you're going to take the
Mhm.
photography side. When it comes to business, is there someone that's better at doing finances than the other, or is someone doing social media better than the other, or you guys kind of like tackle it together?
Wow.
Mhm.
This is one of my favorite topics that I kind of nerd out about.
I'll drink some water.
Okay. So there's this book, Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman, and in it he lays out kind of the ideal structure for like a company and a 2-person team. And that was really a light bulb moment for me because it really lays out there's one person who's the visionary and one person is the integrator. So the visionary is the 30,000-foot view, kind of making the big picture decisions, the like CEO role. And then the integrator is the boots on the ground, keeping the pace of the business, doing the day-to-day things, making sure things get done. And so hearing that laid out was so cool because I really naturally fall into the visionary role. I'm doing so much education. I love the big picture problem solving, figuring out the direction of the business, managing projects. And then Micah is so naturally an integrator where if something needs to get done, he is doing it. It's done already. Like he is boots on the ground. He is so consistent. Deadlines, he's there. Whereas I am a bit more like big picture, like I'm not as much of the consistency, and he is so good at just getting things done. And so we identified that early on in the business. And a key thing for us was allowing ourselves to fall into the role that we thrived in most. Because we are both the type of people where if one of the roles feels harder or more like a burden, we feel like we should take that on. Because it's like, well, I don't want to make you do the sucky role, so I'll do it. And Mike is the same. He's like, I don't want to make you do the job that's more of a burden, so I'll take that on. But we realized that the visionary role was more of a burden for him, and the integrator role was more of a burden for me. And we were both trying to do both so that we could take the burden off each other. And we really had a conversation where he was like, you really like the 30,000-foot view decision making? Like, that's not pressure? Because in his old business, he was the visionary and the integrator and everything else. And so he loves being able to be in the integrator role, get things done when they need to get done. And to me, that feels like pressure. And I'm like, the integrator role feels like so stressful. And I don't want to I felt bad being like, hey, here's a deadline. This is what needs to get done. He's like, no, I love that. And so we really allowed ourselves to thrive in the roles that we loved and that felt like less pressure and work together in the ways that are complementary. And that's been huge, huge for our business. And then there's obviously areas that we both, aren't like social media. Like we both can do it and are good at it, but it's more of a burden. Like neither of us really like social media.
No.
So we work on that together, but we've really allowed ourselves to thrive in the roles that work best for us. And that's been so huge.
Yeah. So I will, to boots on the ground it, Sammie, what are some kind of concrete areas of the business and how we divide them? So like one, would be like social media. I do take probably the majority of the social media stuff. It's a lot of like, if anything, it'll just be like, I'll make a post. And if it's like a static post on Instagram, we really try to have those be kind of a portfolio piece, almost more than marketing sometimes. So we, I'll run the caption by her and everything like that. But then, what are areas that you take and I take?
Yeah, so I would say I do like a lot of the overall project management. I do all of the client communication, any big picture decision makings. If it's like, okay, we need to have a new business policy or write new contract language or like any of that stuff, I'm kind of managing that. And then I do the editing for our photos. And then, anything like delivering client deliverables, a location guide, any of that, like I'm sending it off. And then Micah is the one where he's kind of creating all of the planning material. So he's doing the location scouting, he's researching the vendors, he's calling about permits and writing out the process, he's creating the timeline, and then I'll kind of come in at the last moment and look over it. We'll chat together and be like, awesome, this looks good. He does the culling of our galleries, and because I hate culling with a passion, and he is so good at culling, and I'm like, this is so like mundane and draining, but also so much pressure, and he's fantastic at culling. So little by little, I've like been like, okay, you cull a little, you cull, and then it's just he's just taking up the culling because he's so much better. And so that's another area I've learned to let go and be like, you know what, you're better at that, and it doesn't stress you out, and it stresses me out. So you're gonna take that on, and that's been amazing.
You guys, I'm low-key getting jealous of you two. Because it's almost like you guys have like another assistant in each other and like a bestie to work with, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be nice if someone could do my editing and culling while I'm off doing the planning and stuff like that. Oh,
honestly, built-in business bestie. And it's like, without outsourcing to somebody who might not, you know, who doesn't have like the heart for your business, like, you know, there's definitely things to outsource that are great, but certain things where it's like, I'm so protective of this, like culling. I'm really protective of the cull because, you know, somebody else who wasn't there might not know that that photo would be special to the couple or what this moment was. But Micah was there and he knows, and he's got an amazing eye that he's been training up over years. So it's really special getting to work in that together.
I love that for you guys. And it's nice that you guys don't have to outsource really any of that because obviously you guys have each other and you guys trust each other. And it might be hard to find a person that you trust. I don't think you'll find another person as much as you trust your husband or wife, actually. Yikes. Oh my God, I am jealous of you guys.
Thanks.
I will say, there's my husband. He is so naturally good at business. He's not an entrepreneur or anything. He's in the Marine Corps, but I do pass by a lot of business by him because he's just naturally so good at it. And my business would actually be in a weird spot if I didn't pass certain things by him. So it's very nice that you guys have each other. Not jealous, but I'm happy for you guys.
I'm so thrilled. No, but you're so right though. Like just having anybody to bounce off of, having your partner, having your like marriage partner to bounce off of like that, it is so awesome. Even if you're not doing business with them, but it is also nice when I'm like stuck on something and I'm just like, okay, Sammie, you haven't been, you know, I've been mulling over this, trying to figure it out for like 4 hours, but you're coming in fresh. Got any ideas? And she's like, oh, boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, oh, great ideas. Okay, let me put those into this, you know, like landing page I'm making. So she gets to, again, be the visionary, and I get to then take that and expand on it.
Which I love. I'm like, he's doing all the boots on the ground work, and I get to come in and have an idea and then go off and work on my own project. I'm like, this is great. Are you sure this isn't burden for you? But like, it's awesome getting to work in those roles together. And
I love that. I bet listeners are gonna like totally start telling their husbands or wives, be like, you're leaving your job today and working.
Definitely.
And when you mentioned your husband with the finances, that's the other thing Micah does. Like all of our like, you know, financial taxes, like all of that, like his stuff that
I like it.
I don't like it.
My brain shuts off. I'm like, what is happening with this? And Micah is so good with all of that, especially because he ran a business before, and he's just he takes care of all of that stuff, which is amazing because he'll be telling me, he's like, okay, we need to make a decision on this thing and that, and I'm like, what?
Also obligatory, kind of like the working in other countries thing. Get a CPA, y'all.
Yes.
Like as soon as you can afford, at least get a CPA, because it is, you know, you may not even need them every single year, but at least talk to them sometimes, because there's a lot of, and don't take tax advice from anybody who's not a CPA, because I have seen on some Facebook groups people just saying stuff, and I'm like, I think that's illegal. I'm pretty sure my CPA.
Can you quickly describe why, like, as a destination or international elopement photographer, why people should have a CPA, that you guys have ran into certain squirrely situations, it sounds like?
Yeah. I think just in general, as a business owner, it's just a really good idea to have a CPA. Again, you may not need one to file your taxes return every single year, but it's just really important to have somebody that you can ask your specific question to, because it is an entire job that is like lawyer level job just to interpret the tax code. It's very hard to get concrete answers for your specific situation just from like Googling it. You obviously can totally find stuff out that way, but the difference between that and just emailing your CPA and being like, here's what I'm doing, here's how this is going, do I have to pay California sales? Do I have to remit sales tax on this as well? Or do I have to do this? And just any of those questions that you're just not sure about, even if you're not doing destination work, it's, I think, pretty important.
Yeah. And for destination work specifically, knowing, hey, can I write off this trip that is a business trip? But I'm also taking some of the time for personal, and, what percentage is this? Can I write off the flights, the hotels, like all of that? And it's going to depend on even your state and the specific tax code. And so making sure that you're doing everything legally and with integrity, and then you've got that peace of mind to just have an expert that you can consult is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, you guys, I always hire someone, because it can get really difficult. Like, our job is first and foremost a photographer. We're not tax people. So it's important. It's important to hire a tax person that specifically focuses and helps photographers is my biggest piece of advice. So yeah. I've asked you guys a lot of questions. I had so much more I wanted to ask, but I think I'll narrow it down to one more. If that's okay.
Yeah, sorry, we're big yappers.
No. I love it. This has been absolutely amazing, but I'll narrow it down to one, because obviously Junebug just said that you guys can submit destination photography work right now. If you guys didn't.
The
they just opened it up. So you guys have won it multiple times. Amazing. Congratulations. What is like your biggest advice for people that want to submit, like anything you would give them with that is a strong submission?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the first thing is look through all of the past winning galleries. Like, look through the past 5 years winning galleries and really like analyze it. Think to yourself, what makes this image a winning image? And then going through your own work and really just curating it and finding, what is this image unique? Does this image tell a story? For the destination contest, specifically for Junebug, does this showcase the landscape in a unique way that, the couple feels like part of the landscape, that this would inspire somebody to go travel for their wedding? And I would say, like, get friends and family to look at, if you've narrowed it down to 40 photos, run it by other people and say, what sticks out to you? Because sometimes in our head, we're like, this photo's amazing. And somebody else might be like, what's really happening there? Like, I don't really know. And that's the beauty of having both of us. We'll go through our submission together and we'll be back and forth and we'll be like, I think we can take that one out. No, I really love that one. And really being able to bounce off of each other is huge. But I think, just the act of submitting photos to a contest makes you a better photographer. As you're curating your own galleries, as you're looking through, then the next shoot you go out and you've got those award-winning images in your head and you can be framing it where, and that serves the couple too, because you're like, hey, if I could tell this story of this scene in one amazing image, what would that be? And a lot of times thinking like that makes me pause, makes me step back, makes me switch a lens and really get that incredible image that the couple is going to cherish, and that is something that we can submit and might be an award-winning image.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that is kind of, she already said this, but basically keeping in mind that what is an award-winning image isn't always the like really solid classic banger shot that the couple, or that's going to be like what pops the most on Instagram. Sometimes it is. Just keeping in mind that they are going to be seeing when they're curating through who's going to win, they're going to see a lot of images of, the couple standing, kissing in a cool view. So like Sammie said, asking yourself, like, why is this unique? Like, did I do something unique with the foreground? Is there a bird flying through? Or is the couple in a unique pose? Did I shoot, frame in frame, something like that? And also sometimes it is just like, hey, this is just an awesome photo. So having a good mix of those classic shots with more unique stuff.
Yeah. And I would say lastly, as encouragement to photographers who aren't maybe in an epic destination, maybe you don't have like crazy unique portfolio stuff, specifically, maybe not for the destination June bug, but for the other June bugs. Our first June bug, we won the best of best wedding. It was in Olympic National Park, but you couldn't tell from the photo because it was a zoomed in photo of the bride and groom. He had her in an embrace. It was a black and white, and he was like kissing along her arm, and she had goosebumps on her
I
arm.
remember that photo.
It was one of our favorites, and it was so intimate and beautiful, and it was just the couple's connection that showed through.
Mhm.
So that could have been anywhere. That
Mhm.
could have been in a dumpster alley. Like you wouldn't know. Like it didn't have to be an Olympic National Park because the couple's connection shone through. And that was really a unique prompt that Micah came up with in the moment to really showcase them and their unique connection. And so I'd say like you can create award-winning images anywhere. Like get to know your couples, get to know them through questionnaires, through meetings, through talking with them, know their connection, the way that they interact, and draw that out in photos because just the couple themselves can be an award-winning image.
And then I will just land the plane of the whole thing on this because Sheryl has been hyping us up the entire podcast, somewhat deservedly, and Sammie deserves it. But I just want to end on, we do also experience the doubt and the burnout and the comparison and all that kind of stuff that makes it very tough sometimes. And so I just encourage any photographers who are out there who feel discouragement or who feel, constantly comparing themselves to others, that is honestly one of the things that has moved the needle the most in our business, has been focusing on our mental health just personally.
Yeah.
And obviously we've done that for the sake of our mental health. It's not like don't go to therapy for the sake of, having a better business, but it will make a huge difference. And maybe you don't even need that, but just focusing on your mental health, focusing on your mindset. For me, cultivating a growth mindset rather than like a limited and a kind of negative or doubting mindset or a fixed mindset was so huge and such a game changer. So I know that sometimes it can feel discouraging. So just keep going. And that is where the gold is on the other side of the discouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that if anybody's feeling imposter syndrome or doubt or comparison to other photographers, ultimately at the end of the day, what matters is how you serve the client that's in front of you. So are you seeing them? Are you loving them? Are you supporting and serving them on their day? Are you documenting their day with excellence and leaving them, better than you found them? People won't remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And so are you serving your clients well? And at the end of the day, that is what success looks like.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being so vulnerable and open, especially with it's nice seeing that with people as talented and incredible and creative as you guys, that you guys still experience kind of like the self-doubt and imposter syndrome, because it affects me, it affects all photographers. And, I would like to say that it goes away, but I don't know if it does, you guys. But thank you guys for being so honest and vulnerable about that. I lied. Now we're going into rapid fire questions to close things out.
Yay.
So this should be fun because I would like to see your guys spit out your answers both at once. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Wait, at the same time?
Yeah, so because I don't want you guys looking at each other and doing your guys' weird telepathy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Telepathy.
No, I mean, you're honestly pretty spot on. We do say the same thing.
Yes.
Just naturally a lot. But okay.
Okay, ready? Okay, ready? Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Love it. Okay.
I like sunrise too, though.
Okay. One lens that you could use forever.
28 to 70.
Okay. One mistake beginners make. I think that you guys can probably take turns answering this.
Really, really beginners having too much confidence in your work and not being like taking the time to really like side by side your work and like people who are at like the next level, and just being honest with like, okay, this doesn't look like that. So, but That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't it look like that? Let's just take the steps to get there.
Yeah. Being teachable is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I was thinking, kind of along the same lines, but not investing in education right away.
Yeah.
I think some people think, oh, I'll just figure it out. I'll get, by experience, but invest in education immediately. That's what really got us to where we were. I went so hard into all the courses and workshops, and it was the best thing. So don't try to figure it out on your own. Surround yourself with people who can guide you and teach you, and always be willing to keep learning.
Yes, I agree with that. Okay. One piece of advice you would give the elopement community. You guys could take turns with that too. One piece of advice. For elopement
I
photographers
think
specifically.
Okay, elopement photographers. Okay.
I think, well, my past thing about always keep learning is very applicable as well. But I would say just one piece would be, it's all about how you serve the couple.
Mhm.
And so at the end of the day, focus on that. Focus on bringing your best self to every single shoot, serving them with everything that you've got, tuning into them, who they are, and loving on them. And that's in the way that you help them plan, you location scout, vendor recommendations, building a timeline, all of those tangible things, like serving them with excellence. And that's really going to get you farther and is going to make a lasting impact on the couple. So tune out all the other noise and just focus on loving on your couples.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I since I won't say the same thing as her. So I'll say, learn to be a really good business owner. It's hard because you're a photographer, so you're probably a creative. You're not like naturally business person, but the reality is the people who make a living with photography are the better business owners, not the better photographers most of the time. Obviously, you have to be a really good photographer, but you have to be able to market your work and you have to be able to book couples. So get that consult call locked in, get that inquiry response locked in, get your website copy locked in, because you could level up your photos 5 times more and maybe still not be booking what you could be booking.
Perfect. Such amazing advice. Thank you guys. And then last thing, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at the Chaffins, on TikTok at Travel Elopements, and our website is thechaffins.co.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. This has been absolutely amazing.
So much fun. Thank you so much for having us. Next week, we'll be back, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, I hope I get to meet you guys in person one day because this has been
absolutely.
incredible.
Love that. And we have fangirl over you and your work.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely
dude.
amazing. And it's been so fun being Instagram friends and now finally meeting. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.
All right. Bye, Sheryl.
Bye. Thanks for tuning into the Epic Podcast. If you love today's episode, don't forget to follow the show, leave a review, and share it with a friend who could use a little inspiration. You can connect with me on Instagram and TikTok at Sheryl Anne Photo or at Epic Photo Podcast for more stories, tips, and behind the scenes from life as an elopement photographer. Until next time, stay epic.